Off the ball. This is News Talk.
You're welcome back. It's Thursday's Off the Ball. Nathan with you this evening. It's just gone 7:30. John Giles is with us. Good evening, John.
Evening, Nathan.
So a very good 10 days or so for Liverpool has been capped today with the news that Jurgen Klopps has signed a new contract. A 4-year deal will keep him at the club until 2026. It is a pretty remarkable job he's done since taking over in 2015.
A huge job, Nathan. What he's won, and then he's competing against Manchester City, who've been very, very successful. But I think they're getting on top now. Maybe for the last year or so, been getting on top, and I could only see them getting stronger, Nathan.
That does seem to be the sense, particularly in recent weeks with the depth that they've added to the squad. They can make 3 changes to the side last night from the game against Everton, and there's no dip in quality. Konate can come in for Matip, and they can both play to the same level. They can bring in Jordan Henderson now off instead of Naby Keita, and the addition of Luis Diaz as well, and how quickly he is settled. They seem to have a depth of quality to that squad that they've never had before.
Yeah, I think, you've got to go back a long time, Nathan, to when they had one of their great teams. But they've a bigger squad now. I mean, in the old days, you didn't have as big a squad, as wasn't needed as much. But whoever's been doing the buying in for them has been very, very good. Obviously, Klopp would have a lot to say in that, I would imagine, but a lot of managers don't. But whoever they had recruiting, along with Klopp, has done a major job.
For the club as well, to have that certainty that Klopp is going to be there, because, to be honest, I always thought Klopp would just decide one day that enough was enough. He had given all he could, and that would be quite a quick exit. But to know now that he's going to be there for the foreseeable future, in terms of even looking at the summer and potential new signings and what it would mean when you're talking to players, that you have a manager of this calibre for the next 4 seasons, is Klopp more important than any player in that club, even when you look at the contract saga around Mo Salah?
I think so. I think a manager is the most important player in any club, Nathan, because he's making the decisions, he's dealing with the players, he's got to keep it going all the time. And I think if he saw a situation, I think, where the team might be coming near their end, he'd be more likely to leave, Nathan. But he's seeing this team now. I don't think they've hit their peak yet. And I think that team, without getting any new players in, could be there for 3 years. So I think he knows exactly what he's doing in relation to the future.
This week has been a good week, and last Thursday night you're talking about the Manchester United victory in the manner and how they really blew Manchester United away. A couple of different type of performances over the past week in the Merseyside derby, which was a bit of a dogfight for an hour until they made the breakthrough, and then a patient display last night when they were very dominant against Villarreal in a Champions League semi-final. There was a time where you always said it was go, go, go. Is it still that, or is there a bit more about Liverpool now than there was a couple of years ago?
No, I think he's still got the same policy that, or tactics, if you call it tactics, Nathan, that when they go out to play, this is what they're going to do. I don't think that has changed. I think what has changed with Klopp is that he's got better players in to do what he wants to do. And obviously the players are the most important thing of the lot. But I think that the group of players he has now, and certainly for the last 2 years, would be a better squad of players than he had when he first came in. And that's what good managers do, Nathan. They have their philosophy. I don't think his philosophy has changed. It's just that he's got better players in to fulfill what he wants to see on the pitch. And that's what's happening now. And a lot of these players, and some of them are younger, are coming to big. Again, I'd repeat myself. I think he's what does he sign for? Another 3 years?
Another 4 years.
Another 4 years. Well, I think that team will be there at least for another 4 years winning trophies.
Does he need to win more trophies quickly? We're looking at the next few weeks in Liverpool chasing a quadruple, and he's won a Premier League, he's won a Champions League. With the quality that they have shown, does he need to win more than they actually have over the last few years?
Well, I think he will, Nathan. I think the team is better now than ever before. That squad has got stronger since last year. And obviously he's got to overtake City, but I think he's well capable. I think they will this year, to be honest. I think they're more solid than City. I think the two of them will meet in the Champions League, and they've got the league still to go for. I wouldn't be surprised if they did win the 4 trophies.
You think they're that good and they're in that such strong form at the moment that actually the wave of momentum can carry them through despite the games every 3 days?
Yeah, well, City have got to play the same games, Nathan. As you know, with City missed out on Harry in the summer, and they don't have a regular goal scorer. I mean, they're doing well in what they're doing, but if you look at the Liverpool situation, they've got at least 4 strikers that can score goals, and are scoring goals.
Yeah.
And they're not giving much away as well. So, I think they're in a very, very strong position. I think they had something to do all right to catch City, because City were winning more of the trophies. But I think they've done that now, and I think they will win the trophies in the next 2 to 3 years.
What were your takeaways then from the couple of performances against Everton and Villarreal over the past week?
Well, I think they've been very, very good. All matches are different, as we know, Nathan. So when they're playing Everton, like Everton came last week to set their stall out to defend, and that needs, when you're playing at home and you've got the crowd behind you, sometimes the crowd is not a help in that situation. They get a bit impatient, but they kept their patience, and they know that they're going to get a goal from somewhere. I think it was Robertson last week, wasn't it, got the goal. So they're in that position now, Nathan. Everton did their best to frustrate them for a long period of the game, but they didn't lose their discipline, kept their patience, and finished up winning well. And then, if you take it to last night when they played in the Champions League, I mean, they just totally outclassed Villarreal. I think Villarreal, what did they have? 1 shot and goal or something, Nathan? I think in the stats. And I know they only won 2-0, but they were well in control of the game. Again, kept their patience, kept going, doing the right things. And I think that's become part of Liverpool now. And if you get that discipline and will to win with the quality of players that he has now, I think they're in a very, very strong position.
Thiago's having his best run in the team. He started 5 straight Premier League games. He started again in the Champions League last night. Are you surprised how pivotal a figure he seems to have become at this stage of the season?
I'd be surprised at how prominent he is at the moment, Nathan. I think he was a bit unlucky last year when he came to the club. They were having the worst spell.
Well, he got the injury as well, yeah.
Yeah, he got a bad injury. So it takes a while for a lot of players to settle down into the club. And he's definitely settled down now. He's got his confidence. It's very difficult, Nathan, sometimes for some players to come in and not play as well as they can play. And I think that's what happened to him. I think he's got his confidence back. The team is playing really, really well. He's distributing the ball much better now than he did before. And I think that's all part of settling into a club like Liverpool.
Does he give them something different? Does he give them something very different to what Henderson and Fabinho and Keita offer in midfield?
Oh yeah, I think he's well. You've seen some of the passes he's making in the last few matches, like from the old left half position to Alexander going down and spreading the play and getting in and doing that. I think he's the only one capable of doing that in the midfield. I mean, they all do their stuff. Keita, as you say, Henderson, different players, but none of them can produce the passes that he's producing and is capable of producing at the moment.
Andy Robertson, you touched on getting the goal to open the scoring against Everton. Slowish start to the season. I wouldn't say he was under massive pressure first place from Chimikas, but they do have another option where at least they can rotate there. In terms of quality fullbacks that you've seen through the years, where does Robertson rank?
I like him. I think he's up there, Nathan, with the best. He defends well, and he doesn't score many goals, but he's in there a lot. He doesn't make as many goals as Alexander does, as we know, because he's exceptional. But he's a much better defender. I mean, I would take 2 Robertsons rather than 2 Alexanders.
Just because of what he can do defensively?
Well, maybe I'm old-fashioned, Nathan, but I always think fullbacks mainly are there to defend. And if they give you something going forward, that's a bonus. rather than the other way around. You know, I don't think Alexander is a good defender. I mean, they just have so much of the ball. It's not exposed. It's exposed now and again. I mean, when I see Liverpool losing a goal, he's usually involved in it. Whereas Robertson wouldn't be as spectacular or easy on the eye, but the job he does defending and getting forward as well. He doesn't score as many goals. I mean, Alexander is exceptionally good striker of the ball and brilliant going forward. I mean, he's one of the best fullbacks I've ever seen distributing the ball. But Robertson, I think I would take him because he defends a lot more than Alexander does and gets up there now and again. Fair bit for a fullback. I think his attitude week in and week out is excellent. Top class player.
For all the talk of what Liverpool could achieve over the next few weeks, there's still an opportunity for Manchester City to win the Premier League and the Champions League and to have their greatest ever season, and it's in their hands still in the Premier League. In the Champions League, it felt as though it was very much going to be in their hands, that they had a real opportunity on Tuesday night to pretty much guarantee their place in the final when they were 2-0 up, totally dominant after 15 minutes against Real Madrid. What happened that they weren't able to go on and settle that game on Tuesday night?
Well, to be fair, they had a few defenders missing. Night. You know, you got Fernandinho going back to right back, or somebody else injured on the day, so they didn't have their best defenders out. But I think with Pep, as we know, I don't think the main situation for him is defending. It's getting forward and getting players on the ball to do that, and they did that extremely well. But I wouldn't put my life on them defending anywhere. I think they'd get through this tie. I think they will score goals themselves in Madrid, Nathan. You know, but like being in the position they're in, with getting 2 ahead, I think 3 times in the match, you've got to really put that to bed. You know, I think so. And they don't do that, City. They do it now and again, but they don't really tie it up in a way that Liverpool would tie it up when they get ahead. So, but I think they'll score in Madrid to get through. Yeah,
they did look by far a better team than Real Madrid.
Yeah, but they could see the 3 goals, Nathan. You know, you can't see Liverpool doing that at the moment, or any of the top teams, conceding goals as easily as they did, in my opinion. So, like, usually when you get that 3-1 up, you know, you kill it, you kill the game. But that's the way Pep, approaches the matches. I think he wants to get forward all the time, and I think when they go to Madrid, I think Madrid are okay. They were not the team they were, Nathan. So I think City will get at them. I don't think that they'll sit back just because they're in the lead or they're in Madrid. I think they'll go looking for goals, and I think they will get them in Madrid.
It's an interesting point on their control, or maybe lack of control at times, of a game in midfield, because I would have looked at Rodri in particular as someone, like, that's one of the main things he brings. He sort of keeps it simple, keeps hold of possession, and that they're not quite as gung-ho at times as Liverpool are, but you feel at the moment maybe it's the opposite.
Well, I'm not a big fan of Rodri's, Nathan. Okay, he can get the ball and he can pass it A to B, but he never gets on the ball, and he never, like, you were talking about Thiago there. Now, he's hitting passes from left, right to right at the moment, and just lately, I know. But I never see Rodri do anything like that. He passes it from A to B right enough. But there's times when you've got to, open it up and score a goal yourself, make a goal. I mean, if you, even the other day, did you ever see him make a goal?
He's the one who assists the assister, isn't that his job? He sets up the guy who sets up the goal.
Well, it's supposed to be, but that's a false position. There's no such thing as that job. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you get a midfield player, there's nothing wrong with having 3 midfield players who can be creative.
Yeah.
Some more than others. But I see, I'm not in favour, I never have been in favour of the holding midfield player, Nathan. There's not enough expected of them, Like, when he gets on the ball, his first thing is, maybe he's been told to do it, right, don't give it away, pass it square. And I must be honest, I'm watching the match the other night, and sometimes it drives me mad, because he could turn on the ball, Nathan, and put somebody through, or go and score a goal himself. City have a lot of the ball, and he does a job in a certain way in the middle of the field, but it doesn't do half enough, or near half enough.
And do you think Johnny has the ability to do that? Do you think he has that in his locker, and he's going with what Guardiola's asking? Like, is he doing the job Guardiola wants?
Well, I haven't seen him change it. So, like, what he wants is he's the coach of the team. I'm giving you my opinion of what I would want. And if you're talking about midfield players, sometimes if you turn on the ball, Nathan, that's your first stop. That should be your first thing as a midfield player. You can receive it in a bad position, you've got to stop it and play it back. But when you can get turned on the ball, you can't put somebody through unless you get turned on the ball and see where they are. But he's obviously Pep is happy with what he's doing. I'm just giving you my opinion. I wouldn't be happy at all with what he's doing as a midfield player. At all.
I do want to get your thoughts on Leeds as well, John, because it's starting to get tight at the bottom. Burnley have managed to put together a string of results. So Everton on 29 points, have a game in hand on Leeds, who are 5 points ahead of them. Leeds still 3 points ahead of Burnley after that scoreless draw against Crystal Palace. From a position a fortnight ago where it felt as though maybe they'd done enough, it does feel they're right back in the mix. The performance against Palace, would that have concerned you?
Well, it wasn't good, Nathan. I thought they were looking to get away with it. Palace themselves haven't been going very well, but they were by far and away the better team. I thought Leeds got away with it the other night in it. So it's with Burnley getting a few points. I don't think Leeds are out of it yet. I think they're still well in it, and they've got to play better than they did the other night to keep away from it. It's going to be very, very close. It looked a few weeks ago as if they were safe because Burnley were out of it, and don't forget Everton are still in it, but they're not home and dry, that's for sure.
A lot of speculation this week about Calvin Phillips and his future, and strong links with Manchester United. There's obviously a great rivalry between the clubs. You went the other way, but I think it's probably escalated somewhat since then. Could you see it being a good fit for Calvin Phillips going to Manchester United?
Yeah, I think he'd do. I think he'd do well there, Nathan. I wouldn't say he's the complete midfield player, but I think he could do a job. He's a very energetic lad. He's not going to dictate play in the middle of the field. He'll win tackles. He can distribute it okay. But I think he would be a good player for Manchester United in the position that Manchester United are in at the moment. And I'd have no doubt that Leeds, if the fee is right, would let him go.
Right. He's given enough to the club.
Well, it's Leeds. I don't think Leeds. I think Leeds are not a club that are going to be buying players. Nathan, they haven't done it since the last few years. Anyway, I can't remember the last time they bought. So I think if the offer was good enough, I think they'd let him go. All
right, John. Great stuff as always.
Thanks, Nathan.
John Giles with us every Thursday night. Still scoreless between Manchester United and Chelsea. 6 minutes gone at Old Trafford. There were a lot of protests from Manchester United supporters ahead of the game, but the stadium has now started to fill up. All our football is brought to you by Sky. And speaking of Leeds, they're taking on Manchester City on Saturday Night Football. It is live only on Sky Sports.
Off the ball on News Talk.
If you're part of an exciting SME, then you do not want to miss this giveaway. This